5 Weird Photos from History with Baffling Backstories. Motorized roller skates. Salesman Mike Dreschler fills up the tank for his motorized roller skates at a Sunoco station in Hartford, Connecticut. Produced by the Motorized Roller Skate Company of Detroit starting in 1956, these seemingly convenient skates sold for $250 and reached speeds of 17 miles per hour. In addition to their exorbitant cost, which would be around $2,300 today, the skates weighed a whopping 19 pounds. While these factors prevented the skates from ever truly taking off, perhaps their most glaring failure was their lack of brakes. Testing the bulletproof vest. Testing the first bulletproof vests essentially required men to take turns shooting each other in the chest. This harrowing experiment naturally required an extraordinary amount of faith in these vests and trust in the gunman's aim. Seen here are members of the Protective Garment Corporation of New York, demonstrating the efficacy of a light vest intended for police in Washington, D.C. in 1923. How to avoid trigger-happy police during Prohibition. Before the end of Prohibition in 1933, both gangsters and amateur bootleggers across America made a fortune in black market booze. But these bootleggers were also in the crosshairs of the authorities, who were hell-bent on catching them, as evidenced by this man's pleas to police to not mistake him for a criminal and fire on his vehicle. Vintage Halloween costumes. Halloween costumes of decades past were undoubtedly far creepier than anything you'll see today. From unnerving doll masks to bags placed over children's heads, the guidelines were a little less stringent back then, making the costumes all the more disturbing. A strange picture of a vintage Coca-Cola advertisement. Before guerrilla marketing like this became more commonplace, it'd be rare to encounter such a thing in the wild. This Coca-Cola ad was surely a sight to behold for those on the ground in Venice, Italy's St. Mark's Square in 1960. All Coke marketers had to do was scatter grains across the square and wait for the hungry pigeons to come congregate and unwittingly spell out the brand's name in enormous letters for all to see.